Hey everyone, my name is Ari and I'm currently an intern with the Friends of the ATC, which is the solidarity network of the ATC, which stands for the Asociación de Trabajadores del Campo, which represents over 40,000 rural workers all across Nicaragua. Every year, the Friends of the ATC organizes solidarity delegations for internationalists from all over the world to come to Nicaragua and learn about the lives of rural workers, giving people the opportunity to see firsthand the reality of Nicaragua in the midst of widespread propaganda being waged against the socialist project being constructed by the revolutionary Sandinista government. This November, organizers and journalists from North America came to Nicaragua with the Friends of the ATC to observe the presidential elections and forge connections with working-class Nicaraguenses. In this video, you'll hear from participants of the delegation and see some of the activities we participated in. If you'd like to support the Friends of the ATC, we've recently launched our Ben Linder Scholarship Fund, which is raising money for students at the Agroecology Institute here in Nicaragua, as well as for future internationalists who need monetary support to participate in future delegations. You can check that out and more at friendsatc.org. Thanks for watching, and we hope you enjoy.
One of the things I'm looking forward to that I'm being here in Nicaragua is speaking to Nicaraguans about the upcoming elections. And because back in the States, there's a lot of propaganda against Ortega and all the social gains that they've gained here. So I'm really actually looking forward to speaking to the people here and talk about what, how do they see their own government, and how do they see the media that's betraying them back in the U.S.?
I've been wanting to get involved in specifically an anti-imperialist organization, just because I want to see how people are achieving socialist characteristics within their environment. And Nicaragua is just very new to me because, I always hear about Venezuela, Cuba, the other socialist nations like, Laos, DPRK, Vietnam. Nicaragua is something that I've been wanting to experience, and I hope that I could get, more out of this and maybe write about it and start my own podcast.
I'm really just here because I want to go into agriculture and work on food justice in the States, and I want to take what I can learn from here and also, support the people in their efforts in revolution here, especially with their food system, agriculture system, and kind of take what I can learn back to the US, especially DC, where food apartheid is a very huge issue.
When this opportunity came up, I just thought because Nicaragua is in the crosshairs of the United States, and I need to be here and find out for myself what's going on and what the story is. I think it's really important to just kind of see and get a feel for what's going on and observing what the election process is like. Hi, my name is Julie VARUGHESE, and I was a part of the Friends of the ATC's Solidarity with Nicaragua delegation that took place in November 2021. During that time, our delegation of mostly young people from the United States got to visit one farm, and some of us got to visit two farms where we learned from the farmers themselves how the Sandinista revolution liberated peasants. We also got to learn from ATC leaders about the political context of Nicaragua. We got to interact with ordinary Nicaraguans, and then we were accredited to accompany the elections that took place on November 7th, 2021. Since I came to Nicaragua to cover the elections for my publication Toward Freedom, I was accredited as press. I and two other delegation participants were assigned to a group that was sent to Chinandega, a Sandinista stronghold and a city in the northwestern part of the country. There, we witnessed Nicaraguans voting in a peaceful and organized process. We saw no protests from the opposition parties. Instead, the opposition was part of the process to monitor the elections. I highly recommend anyone who believes Nicaragua is a dictatorship to visit the country. Learn about the history. Speak to farmers and workers. Speak to indigenous peoples and Afro-descended peoples. Find out how the FSLN party governs. Learn about the transformation that has taken place with infrastructure like roads and hospitals being built. Speak to Nicaraguans who now have electricity for the first time in their lives. Speak to Nicaraguan women who benefit from maternity homes to prevent people from dying from during pregnancy or labor. Find out why Nicaragua has the lowest femicide rate in Central America. Find out why people from other parts of Central America migrate to Nicaragua. learn about how Nicaragua has free healthcare and education all the way through the university level. In fact, I met people who grew up in rural areas who are now attending college. So now that we're back in the United States, it's on all of us to spread the word about what's really going on in Nicaragua. That's why I wrote 2 articles for my publication Toward Freedom, and that's also why I'm including information about Nicaragua in the Black Alliance for Peace's educational and organizing work on the Americas region, including inviting a guest speaker from the delegation to speak to the Black Alliance for Peace Solidarity Network that I helped coordinate. If you want to learn about how Nicaragua works, I highly recommend you join a Friends of the ATC delegation because that's the best way to learn how ordinary Nicaraguans live.
Hi everyone, my name is Amanda and I participated in the In Solidarity delegation with the ATC in Nicaragua. I'm very glad I got to experience what the ATC shows to people who come and visit from all around the world. And we did so many activities, and I'm very glad I got to participate in all of them. We visited farms, we had anti-imperialist panels, we were allowed to be election observers during the recent presidential elections in Nicaragua. And everything was well organized, and I recommend anyone who wants to learn about Nicaragua and their revolutionary history to get involved with the ATC. I love that they have a huge stance towards anti-imperialism. But one thing that I took from this delegation was that you know, I consider myself an anti-imperialist, and I wanted to get involved in an organization that specifically aims for you know, anti-imperialism and show solidarity to brothers and sisters in the global South, specifically for the Latin America diaspora. And Nicaragua shows that they are way more democratic than the US. I was able to observe the elections, and you know, I saw that everything was organized. There was a way bigger voter turnout in Nicaragua. I was very fortunate enough to visit the farms, especially because Nicaragua, they prioritize food agriculture and food sovereignty, and people, campesinos and campesinas in Nicaragua own huge land plots and are able to grow their own farms, and they're not just, you know, one crop, they're diverse farms. So to learn from them and, you know, how they produce their own agriculture and how it feeds the whole population of Nicaragua, it was just very revolutionary. You know, since the revolutions in the 70s and 80s to the neoliberal period that ended in 2006, and then you have the 2018 coup. Nicaragua has accomplished so much, and by 2026, I believe 2024, around there, they are projected to, for everyone in their population to have access to food, organic food, healthy food. So it was, I'm just very thankful enough to participate in this delegation, and I met amazing people. I met people from the revolution, the Sandinista revolution, and I wish I could talk to them more. I wish I could have, you know, sat with them and have a conversation with them. That's the thing that I most regret. But they have shown resilience, and you know, their strength shows that Nicaragua is still on the path towards socialism. And even though the US threatens them with sanctions, embargoes, Nicaragua is going to continue having those revolutionary tactics, and their people know that the U.S. empire will not scare them away. So I'm very glad, and thank you for hearing me.
Hey, I'm Nico, and I attended the Friends of the ATC's most recent delegation to Nicaragua during the landslide election. And I would just say, as a diaspora Nicaraguan myself, I would highly recommend that you go on one of these delegations with the Friends of the ATC, regardless of whether you're a diaspora Nicaraguan yourself or you're simply learning about Nicaragua. The best way to learn about it is to really experience it for yourself. And I mean, unfortunately, Western media really is trying to wage an information war against Nicaragua right now. And they do that by mainly platforming only either white Nicaraguans or westernized Nicaraguans. And it's really important that we listen to, indigenous Nicaraguans, mestizex Nicaraguans, campesines, and sandinistas. And the best way to do this is through the Friends of the ATC. I mean, you meet so many different people like that with those experiences that are working hard at revolution right now, working hard to build their country, and working hard to sustain against imperialism. And essentially, like, the best example that I can bring to the table of that during this trip was meeting the farmers at the Santa Julia farm in El Crucero in Managua. And so this is a coffee cooperative that is women-led. The two women that lead this coffee cooperative are Eloisa and Lola. And I mean, these women were amazing because, prior to the Sandinista revolution, during the Somoza era, they were practically slaves on that very land that they work right now. And then during the revolution and during the land reform, they essentially were able to own that land. And even during the 80s, they still had a struggle against machismo. They still had a struggle in order to work as women. And then during the 90s, during the neoliberal period up until 2006, they still had to fight for their land. They still had to hold on to it while everything was being privatized and farming became a lot harder. And then during the second stage of Sandinismo, of course, they continue to work with the ATC and different organizations like MIFCA that has donated coffee plants, has donated pigs to them, even things like industrial refrigerators. And I mean, you meet these women, and not only are they very strong and bold, they're just very kind and friendly and loving, and just like meeting people like that was really amazing. And that is definitely why not only am I going back to Nicaragua, but I'm going back with the Friends of the ATC.
Good afternoon. My name is MD Grimes, and I'm here representing Friends of the ATC, which is a solidarity network that supports the work of the Asociación de los Trabajadores del Campo, or the Rural Workers Association here in Nicaragua. I've been interning here for Friends of the ATC for the past 2 months, learning the reality of the lives of Nicaraguans here leading up to the elections. And our group, we had 12 members from North America, as well as members from countries in Honduras, in Panama, Dominican Republic, and Venezuela, representing CLOC-Via Campesina that makes up the international peasant movement. We had the privilege of visiting Granada, and here we visited 4 voting centers. We were warmly greeted at each center, invited to openly observe and freely take pictures, asking questions. What surprised me the most was the level of tranquility I felt at each center, a stark contrast to what I've experienced in the United States. Everyone was relaxed and willing to chat for as long as we had time for there. Not only was the process efficient, but it was transparent, and I felt like the Nicaraguan workers genuinely wanted to show us every step of the process to change the narrative that exists in mainstream media about the elections in Nicaragua. As a young adult observing these elections, I felt a strong presence of youth at the voting centers, which is absolutely critical of moving forward for the future of Nicaragua. The entire process was smooth, and I feel grateful to have experienced this opportunity, something I never feel like I will experience in the United States, which is a sad reality. But I would like to genuinely thank the people of Nicaragua. These past 2 months I've experienced the kindness, the generosity of the people of this country, and I continue to experience this throughout this week. And I would also like to thank the Supreme Electoral Council for organizing this week's activities, and I can say on behalf of my group that we all had a very strong, profound, and impactful experience here this week.
Hi everyone, my name is Christian Guevara. I am 24 years old. I live in the DC area and I recently had the opportunity to go on the Friends of ATC Solidarity Delegation to Nicaragua. I'm very happy that I did. I was very nervous about it at first. I'd never been on a delegation and I was kind of late to the application process as well, so I didn't even know if I was going to be able to get in. I was kind of nervous to be going out of the country to a place I've never been to with a bunch of people I never met, but now I can't imagine going back without the people that I went this time. It was honestly a life-changing experience that I will never forget. The people that we met there, people like Victorio, where we went to this farm and they told us their experiences being a part of the FSLN for many decades, their experiences through agrarian reform, their experience in neoliberalism, their understanding of their own economic situation in relation to sanctions and world imperialism. The Nicaraguan people are very educated on their own situation. They know what the effects of sanctions are for the most part. Many of them do, at least the people that we talk to, which is great to hear. It was so amazing to be in this place where the vast majority of the people have very similar views when it comes to imperialism, when it comes to colonialism, and that's something that's very celebrated. That the revolution is very celebrated in Nicaragua, and that's something that's so amazing to me. The opportunity that we had to accompany the election got us a seat viewing Daniel Ortega speaking, being in this environment of anti-imperialism, of a revolutionary joy, was a really amazing experience. And so many different parts of this trip, I think, will continue to inspire me and push me forward in the other things that I do in my life. I've found myself just randomly thinking about some of the things that the women in the co-op told us about, some of their inspiring but also horrific stories of their life under military dictatorship, and that reminder of what it is that those people fought for and what they struggled for, and why it matters so much today that we defend that revolution and that we educate ourselves by going on trips like this and coming back from those trips and sharing this story with other people. I'm so happy that I got the chance to go on this delegation. I think if I had to pick my one single favorite part of the whole trip, it was that I got to meet all the people that went on the delegation with me. I got to meet all the organizers and the people that worked at the escuela in Nicaragua, as well as all the people that were on the delegation itself. I'm so thankful that I got the chance to meet everyone and that we're in our chats and we still have interactions, and that I will continue to talk to all of you, hopefully forever, because this is a movement that cannot be stopped and will not be stopped. And viva el Frente Sandinista, viva Nicaragua. Thank you to everyone so much.
This November, I had the opportunity to participate in a delegation with the Friends of the ATC and Nicaragua's ATC in Managua. It was a wonderful opportunity, a unique experience, not my first, but to participate with a number of representatives of organizations from the United States, as well as other journalists in Nicaragua at the time of their general elections. We did things like visit farms and spoke to Nicaraguan people to provide a little bit of context, for us to get a little bit of context about the situation in the country. It was great to see so many different and new faces have the opportunity to come down and see for themselves what the Sandinista revolution is building. At a time when the United States government is ramping up its attacks against the Nicaraguan government and the Sandinista revolution and the Nicaraguan people, it was more important than ever to touch base with and build solidarity with actual Nicaraguan people and Nicaraguan communities, and not just hear from the electoral authorities of the country and the authorities themselves of the Sandinista government, but hear directly from the people on their struggles, how the sanctions have and will affect them, and the different measures being imposed against the Nicaraguan people from the exterior. Bringing in a range of new faces, representatives of new organizations is important to building a new socialist world and building those north-south ties between peoples. And it's particularly important that we take that information, use it in our new media, use it on social media to bring back the messages to the places that we come from and defend the Sandinista revolution.
Hola, mi nombre es María Alfonsina Martínez. Respecto a las elecciones libres 2021 que vive el pueblo de Nicaragua, pues es un proceso electoral en el que por primera vez no tenemos observación yanqui y nos sentimos orgullosos de eso, porque no necesitamos injerencia extranjera para decidir por nosotros mismos en los asuntos internos de nuestro país. Sin embargo, eso ha sido un reto que nos ha venido poniendo muchísimos desafíos en el camino. Uno de ellos es la represión de medios internacionales como de la empresa Meta y Facebook, a través de Facebook, Instagram y Twitter también, donde a muchos compañeros jóvenes sandinistas, y no solamente jóvenes de la red de jóvenes comunicadores sandinistas, sino a personas comunes y corrientes, le han botado sus cuentas en redes sociales. Muchos de estos compañeros, hay fotógrafos, hay modelos, y pues ese es su medio de trabajo, y están jugando con el medio de trabajo de las personas. Sin embargo, pues este es un proceso electoral en el que nosotros vamos a ratificar nuestro compromiso de seguir construyendo patria, no solamente como sandinistas, sino como nicaragüenses responsables del progreso que hemos construido en estos 14 años con el gobierno sandinista. El gobierno sandinista se caracteriza por venir del seno popular. Entonces es el pueblo gobernando al pueblo, es el pueblo decidiendo la ruta de progreso que quiere para sí mismo.
So that's to say that I just want to end by saying that this is an extremely exciting, important time to be a part of this struggle, and this extends to anyone outside of Latin America, those who are in solidarity with our different struggles and revolutionary processes, and that it's just important today as it was in those previous stages.
Es un momento sumamente rico para estar dentro de esas luchas populares de nuestro continente, y eso va también para la gente que vive fuera de América Latina. Es un gran momento para estar en solidaridad con la lucha de los pueblos. Muchísimas gracias.
Hi, my name is David Brookbank. In early November 2021, I had the opportunity to visit Nicaragua as part of a delegation with the Friends of the ATC, the Asociación de Trabajadores del Campo, the Rural Workers Association of Nicaragua. During my time there, I had the opportunity to visit some rural agricultural cooperatives in the area around Managua, and we had the opportunity as a delegation to accompany the Nicaraguan 2021 national electoral process. We traveled to Granada and were present at 4 different voting sites and observed a very legally correct and organized, orderly, peaceful electoral process, which is what was reported across the country by 200 plus international observers. And that is similar to the experience I had in Nicaragua in 2011 during the national elections, and also in the 2016 national elections, which I also witnessed in different parts of Nicaragua. During this trip, as a member of this delegation, we had the opportunity to experience Nicaragua in the same condition that I've experienced it in the many trips I've made to Nicaragua in the 2000 period, which is peaceful, orderly, a society hard at work, earning their daily keep, their daily rent, their daily expenses with the sweat of their brows, and a society that has been determined to be one of the most productive in Latin America, with high indices of growth during many years, with the highest percentage of women's participation in the highest levels of government, including one of the highest levels in the world, busy building roads, busy building hospitals, meeting the needs of its people, which is what the government has promised to do and which is the key to their electoral success of the Sandinista party during consecutive electoral seasons. For myself, I have to say that the highlight of this trip for me, having been there in the 1980s, organizing delegations with Witness for Peace and traveling in the countryside, I was able to, during my time there, I was amazed by the young group of people that were part of my delegation. These were young children of Salvadoran members of the left in El Salvador in the 1980s. They were or grandchildren of those folks, individuals whose families were from Mexico and raised in farm worker families in the United States, others who were born in Nicaragua, others from Dominican Republic, Honduras. And it was quite interesting to see that sort of the, what I would call the white face of delegations in the 1980s. Through this delegation and others that we witnessed, the Black Alliance for Peace was the transforming of the face of resistance, U.S. solidarity, to a face that more represents the people of the world, and also that represents a population which in the United States finds itself in conditions of repression by police, abuse, in disproportionate incarceration, and victims of inequality in income, etc. So to see these young people very motivated, very committed, dedicated to social change, political change, revolution would be the word for the kind of change that we're talking about, which is changing systems at their fundamental basis, at their roots. I would encourage anyone who is interested, whether they're someone like myself who was in Nicaragua in the 80s or has never been, or especially young activists, people trying to understand the realities of Central America, the immigration flows to our country, and other issues of grave concern, the militarization of the world by the United States, its hostility and aggression towards countries like Nicaragua, Cuba, and Venezuela. I'd invite you to look at a delegation with the ATC, contact the Friends of the ATC, and if you're not able to do that, consider making a donation to the Friends of the ATC to support their work. You won't regret it, and I think it would form an important starting point for any activist or a continuation of people's commitment to the struggles of the people in Latin America for their liberation. Thank you for listening to me.
I'm so appreciative that I had the opportunity to travel with the Friends of the ATC this November to tour Nicaragua. Delegates had the opportunity to witness firsthand the Sandinista Popular Revolution, accompanied by a founding institution of this revolution, the Rural Workers Association. In Nicaragua, the revolution is advanced, and in fact, it is ingrained in every part of life. An example of this is the fact that the delegation was hosted by the Francisco Morazan International Peasant School, which was a property held by the dictator Antonio Somoza, but expropriated by the Sandinista Revolution and distributed to peasants. Today, this school is a hub for agroecology, instructing students and peasants from across the region. The delegation was also fortunate enough to visit with the women leaders of the Gloria Quintanilla Women's Cooperative, located in the Santa Julia community. In speaking with these leaders, we learned about life under the Somoza dictatorship and also about the inauguration of the Sandinista Revolution. As I was speaking to these women, I really understood how profoundly feminist the Sandinista Popular Revolution is, and that it has now reached a stage where it's essentially irreversible. When land reform came to the community in the early 80s, it took a while for the peasants to get adjusted to being free. But eventually they embarked on this process of land reform. And when the neoliberal period started in 1990, it was these peasants, especially women peasants, who defended land reform and prevented land from being privatized. In fact, over 1 million acres of land were lost in this period because the titles were held by men who sold their land and left women and children without resources. That phenomenon did not occur in Santa Julia, where women were empowered to lead the struggle. Today, Santa Julia is a Sandinista bastion in the municipality of El Crucero. I leave Nicaragua with an understanding of the urgency of global revolution now more than ever. When the Sandinistas embarked on their project ahead of 79, they were sure to recruit additional people to the project. And so when the neoliberal period was initiated in 1990, there was still an entire social movement and Sandinistas willing to defend the revolution and its gains. And it is these new men and women who were created in revolution that helped inaugurate the second return to power of the Sandinistas in 2007. And today it's clearer than ever that the party and the people are one hand, striving to deepen revolution in every sector. I don't think Yankee intervention is going to work this time because Nicaraguans have made it very, very clear that they'll accept nothing less than their freedom.
What's up, comrades? This is Abraham Marquez from Los Angeles, and this is my reflection of being part of the 2021 Nicaragua Solidarity Delegation with the Friends of the ATC. And some of I have a lot of takeaways. I have a lot of things that I've been reflecting on, but the one that I really want to talk about is my experience in Shenandoah when we were sent there for election day. And that is that, going on the way there, we were told that, Shenandoah is a Sandinista stronghold, that in the 2018 coup attempt, none of the coup plotters or counter-revolutionaries were able to enter the department because the people defended their land, they defended their department, they took to the streets and defended the revolution. And I asked, why is it such a stronghold for the Sandinistas? And when we got there, we met with a comrade from the FSLN, and he informed us that, in the lead up to the elections, the FSLN party the way they campaigned for Ortega there was, it wasn't a campaign where they put billboards everywhere and banners and TV commercials. It was a campaign where they went door to door, where the FSLN party went door to door and talked to every family, every committee member. How do they feel of the direction of the country? How do they feel about their status in the country? And to me, that was just a testament to the strength of what a disciplined and principled revolutionary socialist party can do in the country. And all the social gains that we learned about and we read about that has happened since 2006 under Ortega. It's under his really amazing leadership as a president, but it's also done through the vehicle of a socialist party that has gone through so much, a party that has had its peak in overthrowing the Somoza dictatorship and having all these progressive gains, but then also its lows where they lost the election in 1990, and there was 16 years of the neoliberal period where the party didn't stop, right? Even during that time, they continued to organize, they continued to strategize, they continued to mobilize, and then it showed that in 2006, when they won the election, and all the gains since then, and it just shows you what a vanguard, disciplined revolutionary party can bring, and how society can benefit from it as well as a whole, with the support of a principled socialist party. That's for me one of the big takeaways. And another one too was just seeing the youth and how involved they are and how energetic they are and how much they know about the history of their country, about foreign policy, about the sanctions, and they're able to defend their country. To me, that was really rejuvenating experience, something that I will never forget, and I definitely want to feed off of that, feed off of the Sandinistas, and will continue to support and do what I can here in the as they call it, the belly of the beast. And another thing that I'll finish off on as a reflection is, speaking to the campesinos, how happy they are, how powerful they feel as well, because they own the land. They have full control of their land and the products that they use. They make sure there's nothing poisonous that will affect their health and the health of their family as well, and also the effects it has on the land as well with what you put on the produce or vegetables. So yeah, that's some of my big reflections, and I continue to. I wish I can continue to visit Nicaragua in the future as well.
Members of the delegation also wrote articles and shared their experiences on multiple different platforms, amplifying what they witnessed during their time in Nicaragua. Thanks so much for watching, and we hope to see you at a future Friends of the ATC delegation.